The Young and the Restless spoilers. Tessa's betrayal, a mother's love or a dangerous obsession? Genoa City had seen its fair share of betrayal and heartbreak, but what unfolded between Tessa and Mariah was a level of devastation neither could have anticipated. The seemingly perfect family they had built around their daughter, Aria, was shattered when Tessa's shocking actions came to light. Tessa's alliance with Ian Ward. The whispers of Tessa's involvement with Ian Ward, a man whose reputation for manipulation and destruction preceded him, had started small. It seemed unthinkable that she would align herself with someone as dangerous as Ian, but behind closed doors, Tessa's motives were more complex than anyone could imagine. Ian had preyed on her fears, feeding her doubts about her place in Aria's life. Despite being one of Aria's mothers, Tessa was haunted by the legal reality that Mariah was the child's sole legal guardian. Ian's poisonous words found fertile ground in Tessa's insecurities, convincing her that the only way to truly be Aria's mother was to take her away from Genoa City, and from Mariah. Mariah's heartbreaking discovery. Mariah had sensed that something was wrong. Tessa had grown distant, her behavior erratic. But Mariah couldn't have predicted the depth of Tessa's plan until she stumbled upon clues that painted a horrifying picture: packed bags, secret conversations, and a one-way ticket to a life far from Genoa City. Panic set in as Mariah pieced it together. Tessa wasn't just leaving, she was taking Aria with her. In a desperate bid to protect her daughter, Mariah contacted the police, explaining the situation and her legal rights as Aria's sole guardian. The thought of losing Aria drove her to the brink, but she forced herself to stay calm, knowing she needed to act swiftly and decisively. The confrontation. Tessa was nearly out the door, her suitcase in one hand and Aria in the other, when the police arrived. Red and blue lights illuminated the quiet neighborhood as officers surrounded the house. Tessa froze, clutching Aria tightly, her mind racing. "Put the child down and step away," one officer commanded, his voice firm but calm. Tessa's face contorted with a mix of desperation and defiance. "She's my daughter too," she shouted. "You can't take her from me." But the law was clear. On paper, Mariah was Aria's legal guardian, and any attempt by Tessa to remove the child without consent was considered kidnapping. The officers moved in, gently taking Aria from Tessa's arms as she screamed in protest. Mariah arrived moments later, her face a mask of anguish and fury. She rushed to Aria, gathering the little girl in her arms and sobbing uncontrollably. "Why, Tessa," she cried, her voice trembling. "Why would you do this? We were a family. I trusted you." Tessa, now in handcuffs, turned to Mariah with tears streaming down her face. "You wouldn't understand," she said, her voice breaking. "I just wanted to protect her. Ian made me see things clearly. She's better off away from all of this." A shattered family. As Tessa was taken away, the reality of her actions hit Mariah like a tidal wave. The woman she had loved and built a life with had not only betrayed her but had also endangered the very child they both claimed to cherish. Holding Aria close, Mariah struggled to make sense of the situation. She wanted to scream, to rage, to demand answers from Tessa, but all she could do was cry. The betrayal cut too deeply, leaving her to question whether their love had ever been real. The legal fallout. The legal ramifications of Tessa's actions were swift and severe. Charged with attempted kidnapping, Tessa faced the possibility of jail time. Her defense centered on her role as one of Aria's mothers, but the court was unsympathetic. Mariah's legal guardianship gave her sole decision-making authority, and Tessa's actions were a clear violation of that trust. Meanwhile, Ian Ward's involvement brought another layer of complexity. His manipulation of Tessa further highlighted the danger he posed to the Newman family and anyone connected to him. The police launched an investigation into his whereabouts, but Ian, as always, seemed to stay one step ahead. The aftermath for Mariah, the path forward was fraught with pain and uncertainty. While she was relieved to have Aria safe in her arms, the betrayal left scars that would take a long time to heal. The love she had once felt for Tessa was now overshadowed by anger and heartbreak. Tessa, sitting in a cold jail cell, was left to confront the consequences of her actions. Whether she acted out of love or fear, the damage was done. The family she had fought so hard to protect was now irreparably broken. Moving forward, the tragedy served as a stark reminder of the lengths people would go to for love, and the devastating consequences of letting fear and insecurity dictate their actions. Mariah, determined to rebuild her life for Aria's sake, vowed to protect her daughter at all costs. But the question lingered, could she ever forgive Tessa, or had their bond been shattered beyond repair? As for Ian Ward, his influence continued to loom over Genoa City, a dangerous shadow that promised more chaos to come. Ian Ward's fury and Tessa's betrayal unveiled the fallout from Tessa's failed attempt to escape Genoa City, with Aria left devastation in its wake. While Mariah and her daughter found safety, Ian Ward, a master manipulator, was left seething at the collapse of his carefully crafted plan. Yet, as always, Ian had an escape route, ensuring that the consequences of his schemes fell on others, not himself. Ian Ward's calculated escape. Ian's fury was palpable. His plan to use Tessa to take Aria and disrupt the Newman family had failed spectacularly. Yet, as the dust settled, Ian's signature cunning ensured that his name remained untarnished. Despite pulling the strings from the shadows, Ian had left no traceable evidence linking him to the plot. There were no phone records, no financial transactions, no incriminating witnesses, just a string of manipulated pawns left to face the consequences. As Tessa was arrested and faced mounting charges, Ian quietly disappeared into the background. Genoa City's residents whispered about his involvement, but without proof, the law could do nothing to bring him to justice. Ian knew this game well, and he played it with ruthless precision. Let them chase shadows, he muttered to himself. They'll never catch me. Tessa's moment of realization alone in a cold jail cell, Tessa had plenty of time to reflect on her choices. For weeks, she had believed Ian's promises, his assurances that taking Aria away from Genoa City was the right thing to do. He had preyed on her fears and insecurities, making her feel like she had no other option but to trust him. But now, as she sat with nothing but regret for company, the truth became painfully clear. Ian had used her. He had manipulated her into doing his dirty work, knowing full well that she would bear the consequences if things went wrong. When she needed him the most, when she was at her lowest, he had abandoned her without a second thought. Tessa replayed their conversations in her mind, the hollow promises and calculated lies now so glaringly obvious. Ian Ward had never cared about her, Aria, or anyone else. He cared only about himself and his vendetta against the Newman family. Mariah's heartbreak. Meanwhile, Mariah was struggling to pick up the pieces. The betrayal from someone she had loved and trusted was almost too much to bear. She held Aria close, vowing never to let anyone threaten her daughter's safety again. But the emotional wounds left by Tessa's actions cut deep, and forgiveness seemed impossible. When Tessa finally had the chance to speak to Mariah, her voice was filled with remorse. Mariah, I'm so sorry, she said, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what I was thinking. I let my fears control me, and I believed Ian when I shouldn't have. Please. I never wanted to hurt you or Aria. Mariah's response was filled with the raw emotion of someone who had been hurt beyond measure. Sorry, she spat, her voice trembling with anger and heartbreak. You were going to take my daughter away from me. You were going to leave me here alone, wondering if I'd ever see her again. And for what? Because you believed him? Ian Ward? A man who used you and left you to face this mess on your own? Tessa's silence was deafening. She had no defense, no excuse that could undo the pain she had caused. Ian Ward's shadow over Genoa City. While Tessa faced the consequences of her actions, Ian Ward remained a looming threat. His ability to evade justice and manipulate others left the Newman family on edge. For Mariah, the knowledge that Ian was still out there, free to continue his schemes, was a chilling reminder of the dangers that still lurked in Genoa City. Victor Newman, ever the protector of his family, vowed to keep a closer eye on Ian's movements. He may have slipped through the cracks this time, Victor said, his voice filled with determination. But he won't get another chance to harm this family. Tessa's isolation. As the days turned into weeks, Tessa found herself more isolated than ever. Mariah, once her partner and confidant, refused to see her. The Newman family had turned their backs on her completely, and even the residents of Genoa City viewed her as an outcast. The weight of her choices pressed heavily on her shoulders. She had lost everything: her family, her freedom, and her sense of self-worth. And while she longed to make amends, she knew that some wounds could never truly heal. The path forward. Mariah, with Aria by her side, focused on rebuilding their lives. The betrayal had left scars, but her love for her daughter gave her the strength to move forward. She vowed to protect Aria from anyone who dared to threaten their bond again. As for Ian Ward, his name continued to send shivers down the spines of those who spoke it. His presence in Genoa City, though unseen, was a constant reminder of the chaos he was capable of creating. But even Ian, for all his cunning, knew that his time in Genoa was running out. The Newman family wouldn't stop until he was held accountable, and Ian relished the challenge. A lesson in trust. The saga of Tessa, Mariah, and Ian Ward served as a painful lesson about trust, manipulation, and the consequences of fear-driven decisions. For Tessa, redemption seemed like a distant dream. For Mariah, the road to healing would be long. And for Ian Ward, the game continued, with new schemes brewing in the shadows of Genoa City. The story wasn't over. In Genoa, it never was. Mariah's declaration: strength amidst heartbreak. In the wake of betrayal and chaos, Mariah stood before her friends and family, her voice steady but laced with sorrow. Her decision was final: her relationship with Tessa was over. "She doesn't deserve to be in my life anymore," Mariah declared, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Right now, my daughter is all that matters. Love, it doesn't mean anything if trust is gone." Her words carried the weight of her heartbreak, but they also revealed the unwavering strength she had found within herself. Mariah wasn't just surviving, she was fighting to protect her daughter, Aria, from a world full of dangers, both seen and unseen. Ian Ward's looming threat. Unbeknownst to Mariah, the real threat wasn't over. Ian Ward, ever the manipulative puppet master, had shifted his focus directly onto her. His failed plan with Tessa hadn't dampened his ambition, it had only fueled his determination. Mariah, as the legal guardian of Aria and a key member of the Newman family, had become his new target. Ian thrived on chaos, and he saw Mariah's newfound strength as a challenge. "She thinks she's untouchable," Ian murmured to himself, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "We'll see about that." With his resources and cunning, Ian began to weave a new plan, one designed to strike at the very heart of Mariah's world. But Mariah, though strong and determined, was unaware of the storm brewing in the shadows. The mystery of Sharon's whereabouts. While Mariah focused on protecting Aria and rebuilding her life, Sharon remained missing. The once vibrant matriarch of the family had vanished into the depths of Ian Ward's schemes, her absence leaving a void that was keenly felt by all who loved her. Locked away in a hidden underground bunker, Sharon's spirit burned bright despite her dire circumstances. She knew that her family needed her, and the thought of Mariah and her grandchildren gave her the strength to push through the darkness. Sharon had spent weeks carefully observing her surroundings, looking for any weakness in her captor's defenses. With each passing day, her resolve grew stronger. She wasn't just surviving, she was planning her escape. Mariah's determination and Ian's strategy. As Ian's plans for Mariah began to take shape, she remained steadfast in her commitment to protect her daughter. She had faced betrayal, heartbreak, and loss, but nothing could shake her focus. Aria was her light, and Mariah was determined to ensure her safety at all costs. But Ian knew how to exploit vulnerabilities, and he was watching for any sign of weakness. He began planting seeds of doubt and fear, spreading rumors and whispers designed to destabilize Mariah's world. Mariah, though strong, was not invincible. The weight of Ian's psychological warfare began to take its toll, leaving her more isolated and wary of those around her. Sharon's escape and return. While Mariah faced her battles on the surface, Sharon was fighting her own war underground. One fateful night, she discovered a flaw in her captor's routine, a small window of opportunity to break free. Summoning every ounce of courage and strength she possessed, Sharon acted decisively. Using makeshift tools she had fashioned from her surroundings, Sharon dismantled part of the locked door, creating an opening just wide enough to slip through. Her heart raced as she navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the bunker, evading guards and traps at every turn. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Sharon burst into the open air. The cool night breeze hit her face, a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness she had endured. She was free. The Newman family's fight. Sharon's return to Genoa City was nothing short of triumphant. Her family, who had feared the worst, embraced her with relief and joy. But Sharon knew there was no time to rest. Ian Ward was still at large, and his sights were set on Mariah. "I won't let him hurt you," Sharon vowed, her voice filled with conviction. "Not you, not Aria, not anyone in this family." Mariah, though relieved to have her mother back, struggled to hold back tears. "I thought I lost you," she whispered, clutching Sharon tightly. "I can't lose you again." Together, Sharon and Mariah began to prepare for the battle ahead. They knew Ian wouldn't stop until he got what he wanted, but they were determined to stand united against him. A family rebuilt, a war unfinished. The road ahead was fraught with danger, but the Newman family had faced worse and survived. Sharon's return brought hope and strength to Mariah's life, and together, they were ready to confront whatever Ian had planned. Ian Ward, lurking in the shadows, was a formidable enemy. But he had underestimated the resilience of the Newman family and the unbreakable bond between Sharon and Mariah. The game was far from over, and the next chapter of this saga would be one of the most intense yet. This narrative delves deeper into the emotional complexities of Mariah's heartbreak, Ian's cunning, and Sharon's determination to protect her family. Let me know if you'd like any additional layers or twists.